No words, just education.
Welcome to History of Dragon Ball. Today we are looking at the hierarchy of the gods.
And there's the title, so now you know what you're watching. Interesting approach, I think.
Dragon Ball has been a series that has been introducing a consistently more complex hierarchy of gods within the world. As the series has progressed throughout all of Dragon Ball, we have been consistently introduced to a more complex hierarchy of gods. The majority of these divine figures inhabit the heavenly realm of the Dragon World, and it is their job to stand watch over the universe's inhabitants, both as they live their daily lives as mortals and in their eventual shift to the afterlife. Like many hierarchies, most divine figures oversee a specific region and report to a superior that oversees those collective regions. So we're going to start from the bottom of the pyramid and work our way up until we reach the top. So, to start off, we have the planetary gods. The most abundant gods within the dragon world are those that
The
supervise
planetary ones, the ones with love on that actual planet.
individual planets. In fact, the first god that we ever see in Dragon Ball is the god of Earth, Kami. The gods of each planet are selected from among the sentient life forms of that planet. Attendants from the afterlife are dispatched to assist these gods that have been picked from the planet's natives. For example, Kami has Mr. Popo. The purpose of this system is to oversee and protect the sentient life forms of each planet, and more importantly, to hasten the development of immature sentient species, guiding them towards the greatest happiness. The attendants sent from the afterlife are only permitted to act in a subservient role to the planet's gods, based on the idea that a species' fate ought to be entrusted to the species itself. This also seems to imply that the planets with non sentient life forms are not governed within this system, and they are therefore left to fend for themselves. As another example for this, we have the Grand Elder of planet Namek, who appears to have taken on this godly role for his people. And we can kind of assume this, particularly in the way that King Kai eventually communicates with the Elder, in the same way that he communicates with Earth's own god in Kami and later Dende. But although these are gods, they are very much at the bottom of the ladder in terms of this list. Now, next we have King Enma. All life forms in the living world become spirits once they die, and they go to the palace of King Enma in the Enma realm. Afterwards, each spirit is judged by King Enma, determining whether that spirit goes to heaven or to hell. So, from this principle, it is clear that a life form is comprised of both a physical body and a spirit. Ordinarily, a dead person can enter the Enma realm only in spirit form. However, there are obviously exceptions. At the discretion of a planet's god, in a rare occasion, people can visit the Enma realm with their physical body intact. Most such people do so in order to receive training from their respective Kai, just like we see with Goku. So, as we can tell based on the hierarchy charts, Enma outranks the planetary gods, but then is lower in hierarchy than the Kais. Like we can see, Kami scolds Goku for speaking so informally to King Enma when requesting that he be allowed to train with the Kai. But Enma himself had once travelled Serpent Road in the distant past and trained under North Kai himself, so that he could subdue any violent spirits that arrived for his judgment. And later, in Dragon Ball
I
Super
didn't know
Episode
that
93,
actually.
Goku asks permission from King Enma to allow Frieza to return to the living realm for 24 hours in order to compete with Universe 7 in the Tournament of Power. King Enma begrudgingly obliges, only giving in once he learns that the fate of the entire universe is at stake, but under the condition that Goku not kill Frieza on Earth should he start rampaging about, but instead while they are away from Earth at the tournament. This remark can kind of be interpreted that King Enma is saying that he is only responsible for overseeing those that die on Earth, or at least within that universe. So really, with the context that Frieza was traveling to battle warriors from other universes, it is more likely that King Enma is requesting Frieza die outside his jurisdiction of Universe 7, as opposed to just Earth, where he has already died twice. But that kind of sums up what we know about King Enma, which means next we have the Kaio, or the Kais. The kings of the worlds, or the Kaio, stand above all the gods of the universe, and collectively watch over the entire universe from the afterlife. There are 4 Kais to oversee the universe's northern, southern, eastern, and western
Four?
galaxies. In addition to
Oh,
overseeing
we
their
haven't
region,
seen these
the
other
Kais
guys in a
also
long
train
time.
exceptional dead martial artists who have been allowed to keep their bodies in the afterlife. Above these 4 Kais of the cardinal directions, there is also the Grand Kai, who serves as their leader, but we will get to him in a minute.
I don't even remember
These
that
4
guy.
Kais are chosen from the members of a certain race called the Shinjin, or the Core People. They are called this because they are born from inside the fruit of the Kaiju, or the World Tree, which grows on the planet Kaishin, or Planet World Core. Kaishin is a planet located in an unknown part of the macrocosm, and is like a large version of the planets that each Kai comes to live on. There are roughly 80 Shinjin living on Kaishin, and they spend their days living peacefully, studying various topics in a large castle. Then when one of the Kais die, a replacement is chosen from among the Shinjin by lottery. Shinjin live for about 75,000 years, so this does not really happen too often. And also, Toriyama does note that the Shinjin actually have no gender, though all of them do kind of possess some male or female characteristics. Similar to other deities in the Dragon World, the Kais are mortal beings that can die. For example, we see North Kai die when Goku teleports Cell to his planet moments before his self-destruction. The idea of the Kai's replacements being done by lottery actually came many years later, so that kind of explains why we never saw any kind of replacement for North Kai within the show or the manga yet, to the point that it hasn't even been hinted at. But again, these are gods, so a bit of mystery isn't always a bad thing. But now, let's move on to the Dai Kaio, or the Grand Kai. Now the Grand Kai is the king who oversees these 4 Kais, the North Kai, West Kai, South Kai, and East Kai, and he rules over the 4 quadrants of the universe. Grand Kai is considerably stronger than any of these other Kais, and is known to be the greatest fighter in the 4 quarters of the universe. However, he is not as strong as Goku as a Super Saiyan due to having neglected his training over the most recent years. Even though
I don't
he
even
is the
see this
teacher
guy.
of the greatest warriors of the universe, Grand Kai is more of a sweet and kind grandfatherly figure than a traditional disciplinarian, much like the kind that Master Roshi is. He pays no heed to respectful but cold formality. He lovingly treats his social inferiors as equals and dotes on them as if they were his own grandchildren. He is really a very mysterious figure, to the point that the Grand Kai is actually an anime-only character. He is actually mentioned in the manga but never actually seen, so there is really so little known about him. So that is where we will move on up the ladder. And next we have the Kaioshin, or the Supreme Kais. Now the Kaioshin are the gods of the Kaio, who stand above even the Kaio themselves. In essence, they are the gods to the gods, overseeing not merely the universe, but also the afterlife where the Kais themselves live. And just like the Kais, the 4 Kaioshin of the cardinal directions
They have their own
oversee the
world.
northern, southern, eastern,
believe.
and western galaxies, and presumably the 4 quadrants of the afterlife. While the Dai Kaioshin, also known as the Grand Supreme Kai, oversees the entire universe and afterlife.
Yeah, but not anymore because it's been gone up. A lot of them are eaten up by Boo.
Itself. In addition to this wider scope, they are also far more powerful than the Kais. While North Kai was weaker than the likes of Nappa, East Kaioshin states that each of the Supreme Kais were actually strong enough to defeat Frieza with a single blow. Daisenshu 7 even states that the Kaioshin will interfere in affairs of both the living world and afterlife if an event is deemed capable of deciding the fate of the Dragon World. And in Dragon Ball Super Episode 53, Gosu of Universe 10 discusses the Kai's interference, stating that the role of the Kais is to create and observe, and that only the gods of destruction are allowed to directly interfere. While the Supreme Kais are only ever shown performing a supervisory role in the series, it was revealed back in the 2013 Battle of Gods movie that they are also the counter to the gods of destructions themselves, except they are the polar opposite where they wield the power of creation. In order to expand life throughout the universe, the Supreme Kais establish new planets and fill them with a myriad of life forms, either transplanted from other planets or just newly created ones. Rather than Kaioshin-sama making planets, he is able to provide the impetus for them to be born. Also, he will sometimes divide up one planet and increase the number of planets. He will even do things like create life forms or transplant them from another planet. But his basic job is just to watch over the numerous planets. So obviously, in order to provide a balance for the constantly increasing number of planets, we have the gods of destructions as well, and they, of course, destroy them. But they do not act on the Kaioshin's orders. They destroy according to their own individual judgment. Now, to allow the Supreme Kais to oversee both the afterlife and the living world, the Kaioshin live in the Kaioshin realm, which is located outside the macrocosm and revolves around it, similar to how the moon revolves around the Earth. The Kaioshin's greatest treasure are their Portare earrings, which allow them to fuse with others to obtain an even greater power. Now, Portara fusion is permanent if it is performed by the Kais, but Gawasu explains in Dragon Ball Super that for those who are not a Kai, the effects of the Portara will only last for 1 hour. Along with this, the Kaioshin also wield the power of time rings, which can be used to travel to and from the future to observe the development of a civilization. Again, it is Gawasu who states that only the Supreme Kais are qualified to use time rings, and warns that travelling to the past is strictly forbidden as changing history is extremely dangerous.
And yet,
From Daishensu 7,
yet,
it
it
states
has
that
happened
5
countless
million
times
years
already. It happened a lot of time already.
before the beginning of Dragon Ball, Majin Buu killed the North and West Kaioshin and absorbed the South and Dai Kaioshins. Despite this, so far these missing Kais have not been replaced, leaving the East Kaioshin as the sole highest god in Universe 7 for millennia. This may be due to the extreme rarity of the golden Kaiju fruit, as none may have grown for all of these years. Eventually, the older East Kaioshin from 15 generations ago is unsealed, and while Goku and Kibito both refer to him as Dai Kaioshin at several points, it is not clarified if he does actually officially take over that post, or if it is just a way of being polite and distinguishing him from the younger Kaioshin. It is probably quite obvious, but the Kaioshin and the Gods of Destruction have never really gotten along that well. But once every 1000 years, they do go to each other's realms and hold a coordination meeting, and this is when the old Kaioshin got trapped. As during one of these meetings, they got into an argument over some trifling thing, and a certain short-tempered god of destruction, Beerus, sealed the Elder Kaioshin away in a sword, which we know as the Z-Sword.
Must have been
After
overfood
all,
or
this was
something.
all Beerus could really do, as it wouldn't have been proper for him to destroy the Kaioshin realm itself. Which of course now moves us on up the ladder again to the Hakaishin, or the Gods of Destruction. Now, while the Kaioshin hold the power of creation, which provides the catalyst for planets and life forms to be born, the God of Destruction is true to its title and holds the power and authority of destruction. As new planets are born, the God of Destruction destroys existing planets in order to maintain the balance of life in the universe. In contrast to the Kaioshin, who are only powerful in their own right as gods compared to most mortals, the Gods of Destruction wield far greater power and their strength can rarely be challenged. As we know, Beerus is the god of destruction for the 7th universe, and he explains in Dragon Ball Super that following the tournament between Universe 6 and 7, that each universe has its own god of destruction. So, with there being 12 universes, that means there are 12 gods of destruction. Whis also reveals in Dragon Ball Super that the God of Destruction is linked to the Kaioshin of the same universe, so that the two forms are basically a set, meaning that if one dies, the other one will as well. So Goku quickly realizes that the simplest way to defeat a God of Destruction is to merely kill their comparatively weaker Kaioshin, although this obviously would be no fun to Goku, so it's not like he would ever do it. And it appears that this link is known to very
It did almost
few,
happen
as
in
Beerus is
Dragon
obviously
Ball.
quite frustrated at Goku learning this
Dragon Ball
knowledge.
Z.
But each God of Destruction are assisted by an angel as well,
Yeah,
and these are
Master.
dispatched by the Omni
In the Majin Buu saga, he almost took out Supreme Guy.
King, who again we will get to properly in a moment. But the main role of an angel is to guide the God of Destruction that they serve, as well as train them and keep their destructive powers in check. Angels are immoral and indifferent in nature, as we see with Whis constantly. He explains that they must remain neutral in conflicts and cannot intervene. Angels are also very intelligent, exhibiting a thorough knowledge and understanding of the Dragon World's hierarchy, structure, and inner workings. Each angel wields a staff allowing them to communicate with other deities, project events from the past, and observe current events throughout the cosmos. Along with this can help them shield from attacks and travel nearly anywhere that they desire, among other capabilities as well. The angels are directly linked to their respective universe's God of Destruction, meaning that if the God of Destruction will die, then the angel will cease to function. That is until a new God of Destruction is appointed. In fact, during his first appearance, the Omni King jokes about replacing Beerus and Champa with new gods of destruction. So it would appear that he holds the authority to appoint or fire any of these gods of destruction. But now, as we have mentioned him, let's move on to the top of the mountain, and that is with Zeno, or the Omni King. Now, he was introduced in Dragon Ball Super Episode 40, and here we learn how Zeno, or the Omni King, sits atop the hierarchy of divine beings. Following the tournament between Universes 6 and 7, Beerus and Champa are shocked at the sudden appearance of a small figure which they refer to as Zeno. Apart from implying that he holds the authority to appoint new gods of destruction and that the angels are dispatched from him, further details on his exact role are actually quite scarce. In fact, rather than fulfilling some sort of role or job as most other gods do, the events of the universe survival arc show that the Omni King simply tries to keep himself entertained, and all other life forms are forced to just go along with his whims. Each universe's god of destruction is shown to mostly display reverence for the Omni King, who speaks and acts much like a young child, though they also fear his unfathomable power. Beerus reveals that if the Omni King felt like it, he could instantly obliterate the 12 universes very simply, and that in fact there were originally 18 universes, but the Omni King destroyed 6 of them when he was slightly offended. The Omni King is also capable of instantly wiping out anything, an ability that he first demonstrates on screen when destroying Trunks' dystopian future. Following that battle with Zamasu, Goku brings the Omni King from this parallel timeline to the present, resulting in the current timeline now having 2 Omni Kings. Along with this, Zeno is also accompanied by 2 tall, skinny attendants who stand either side of him and enforce proper manners and etiquette in his presence. The pair rarely speak, although they occasionally react in dismay when he is addressed in an informal fashion, which of course is usually by Goku. While they have yet to display any show of strength, the Omni King's attendants have shown some unique abilities, such as when they disappear into the tournament ring below and reappear in front of Goku in an attempt to stop him from approaching the Omni King. It is kind of just assumed at this point that they are just very powerful beings. But Zeno as well is also assisted by an aide, the Great Priest, and he too is an angel, and he often acts as the Omni King's representative and messenger to the universe's various gods. The Great Priest also advises the Omni King when appropriate, and is shown to be one of the few that can actually calm this childish deity down when aggravated. Much like the angels who serve the gods of destruction, the Great Priest is rather immoral and indifferent in nature, maintaining a calm and polite demeanor at all times, even when revealing that the Omni King's intentions are to erase all losing universes from the Tournament of Power. However, his calm demeanor should not be taken lightly. As Whis explains, the Great Priest is said to be one of the 5 most powerful in all of the universes, and is also Whis' father. And since we learn that Vados is also Whis' older sister, she is presumably another one of the Great Priest's children. But it remains to be seen how many of the other angels are part of this family, although a lot of people consider that all of the angels are his children. But we won't go too much into this, as the angels are really worth a video of their own. And so there we have it. That reaches the end of our description of the hierarchy of the gods within the Dragon Ball world. As you can see, they're always adding another level to these deities. So even though at this point it seems like there cannot be something above the Omni King, who knows, in another arc or two we may discover something new. Now that this video is at its end, I have a question for you all today, and that is, would you like a breakdown video of everything that we know about the angels? If you would, then please leave a comment of the word angels in the comment section below. So thank you if you have managed to reach the end of this video.
Then please like, subscribe and share. And if you want to see the original video, it's on YouTube. The guy's name, this channel's name is The History of Dragon Ball. Please like this video, share, subscribe. And see you again later.